Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Airfix and Chill. Who's airbrushing? Is that you, Matt? You airbrushing?
No, I'm not airbrushing.
Well, we've got a full house tonight, and if you may have noticed, I've upgraded the StreamYards to 1080p, so hopefully we'll get better quality on this channel. So it's cost me an extra £30 a month, but I think we needed to do it, really, didn't we? Because when you look back over them, they look a little bit 720-ish, don't they? It's so 720 now with 1080, which is good. Got loads of people in the chat, which is good. Discussion tonight. I picked it out because I was trying to think of I'm building a Mitsubishi Zero from Airfix, and I noticed that it's actually quite a dirty looking plane on the box, but I was very reluctant to make it too dirty, and so I come up with this thought. With weathering, have we turned a corner? That's the question. So if you have a question or an answer to that question, feel free to put question in capitals and leave your thoughts in the box. And we'll try. Fenris is in tonight, so hopefully, is he in? I've seen it. Yeah, he'll be in. He will pop up messages on the screen so we can have a look at and discuss. So my first thought when it comes to weathering, it's turned a corner. Are you seeing less of it in your builds and also in other people's builds? For instance, I went to the Bugle Call Scale Model Show last Sunday or Sunday before, and a lot of the models that were on show, a lot of the planes didn't really have a lot of weathering, whereas tanks, especially in the diorama setting, were weathered to the hilt. And I was wondering, as you as scale modelers, I started to think, there's certain things I do that enhance the model, but sometimes I overweather it, and I think I shouldn't have done it that much. And also turning the corner is, are you finding yourself doing less weathering because you're quite happy with the results that you're getting with an airbrush, etc.? So leaving it all out there for everyone to discuss tonight. We've got plenty in the chat, so if you want to pop in and make your mention, leave a comment, and we'll see how we get on from there. So John Alec, a man who likes his tanks, do you find yourself weathering tanks differently to a plane, or have you pulled back on weathering?
I do. So with tanks, I like to weather. I like to make them dusty and dirty, and so I'm not really sort of a mud person, and part of that is because I've never done mud, and so I know I use pigments, I use oils, and I can make them look dirty and dusty, but that I haven't used those mud, sort of the mud compounds or what have you. I think it looks absolutely fantastic when people do that. With planes, I haven't done a lot of planes, but with planes, I think that when I try to weather a plane, I try to add, I weather with stuff that won't wash off, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't wash off normally. So oil stains, firearm residue, those kind of things. But I don't make them dusty and dirty like I do with tanks, if that answers your question.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, you like to weather your models, don't you?
Yeah, but I think, it's as with always, as I say with these things, it depends, right? What are you calling weathering? And there's different types, there's different styles, I would say, even. So I tend to do, because again, we're kind of trying to reflect how things look, right? And the way to achieve that is achieved in various different ways. And I think as we get, more awareness of all of those different ways, then people kind of settle into what they're comfortable with, they'll try stuff out. tanks and aircraft, if you're trying to do something that's, let's say, authentic, as John said, they're very, very different. Aircraft are generally kept clean. Now, that doesn't mean they're not weathered. It just means the weathering is different from a tank. Like John said, tanks get dusty and muddy in a way that aircraft really shouldn't, because that affects how they actually perform, right? It doesn't really affect the tank performance. If anything, it makes it a little bit better in terms of camouflage. So I tend not to go for really heavy weathering unless it's going to be in a diorama or something. But I don't know whether it's changed or whether it's just that we've got so many techniques available to us now. You can choose what you want for your style.
Yeah.
So I think everybody has a style of modeling. You can generally tell, one of my models compared to, I don't know, one of your models, one of John's, by looking at it, because it's what we're used to and what we like. It doesn't necessarily mean that my model is better or worse than one of John's or one of yours or whoever's. It's just different stylistically. Like looking at I'm not saying we're all up there artists, but it's like looking at a Monet and looking at a Renoir and looking at a Leonardo.
Looking at a mods.
Yeah, they're all different. They're all fantastic. They're all trying to achieve the same thing, sort of a level of realism, but in different ways. So whether you get on with that is often in the eye of the perceiver. So
that's it. Yeah,
that isn't a very definitive answer, but
but that's it. It's. I think that weathering technique is, there's so many products out there now that we can weather. See, Timothy Neville says, I'm an ex-RAF painter and finisher. One thing that gets my goat is aircraft modeling doing panel lines. We never did panel lines on the real thing. So I get that. My problem with that is, I'll tell you the reason. I think that the shades of panel line is dire, our selection. We seem to have a black, we seem to have a brown, we seem to have one color gray. I think if you can panel line using just a different, say you're doing a gray plane, you wouldn't necessarily put black down. You would actually try and get a similar shade of gray, which is a little bit darker, just enough to enhance. But see, a lot of people don't even bother with panel lines. They actually pre-shade the black lines in on those panel lines and then blend it in using the top coat.
But I think that's one thing that Timothy, I think, has hit on there, is that he's working at 1-to-1 scale, right? And you're right, you don't panel line a real aircraft, but that's not the point. The point is we're trying to recreate how an aircraft looks if you scale that down or we're far enough away. And you do get, you can see the panel lines because of dirt that's accumulated in rivets or, stress on the skin or all these other things. So I say it time and time again, we're recreating an effect. We're not trying to duplicate what you see at 1-to-1 because it wouldn't look the same. Same goes for color.
And on that note, Alex, like as you were saying earlier, it's kind of also about like art styles, right? Like for me, I much prefer for lack of a better term, having a high contrast, right? Having the highlights brighter than they should be and having the lowlights darker than they should be. Having dark, rich black panel lines offset by this bright center of the panels. And again, that's not going to be a 1-to-1, but from an art style, for me personally, I just like the way that looks better. I'm not necessarily trying to make it perfectly a 1-to-1, right?
I see. Yeah, I think it's, as I said, it's all down to brand. You make your own brand, don't you? Nigel's a man for weathering and getting commented about weathering with that Vulcan. Are you a weatherer kind of guy, or do you prefer to have a clean sort of build with your? Because you do a lot of aircraft, don't you?
I like weather. I like weathering, and I'm absolutely 100% with Alex. Well, I'll tell you what. Go and look at a tornado that's seen a few years service, and they've gone around and they've touched up all the edges of all the panels where they've got chipped. Yeah, and I've seen that replicated on a model of people. Oh, it's overdone. No, it's not. Go look at an F-14. I mean, they're a right mess. F-14s toward the end of their life, they were a complete and utter mess. Like a dirty dirty pavement with bubble gum all over it. They were disgusting.
Well, add the Tornado's backdraft on the tail from their reverser cans.
Yeah.
But, no, and to pick up on your point with panel lining, Moss, this is one of the problems with the modern world of modeling. People think, oh, I can't get the panel liner in the right color. Well, then don't use panel liners. Make your own with oils.
Yeah.
Panel line washes. You can have bright yellow if you want. You know, you don't.
Yeah.
Or mix your panel liners. You know, and or you get the flory ones. They do like an off-white.
I must start using the old flory washes.
I'm not a massive fan. I'd rather have oils because you can play.
You rather have oils, would you?
Yeah.
The weathering is just such a big market now, isn't it? If you look at all the products you can get now for weathering, it's a market in itself, isn't it?
Yes.
I personally think it's turned into a bit of a joke. I mean, you can get AK wash for grey tanks, and you can get AK wash for brown tanks, and you can get AK wash for like British ships, and you can get AK wash for German ships, and you can get AK wash for American ships. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though, Nigel. It depends where you are in the hobby, right? Because I'm like you. I mean, you do not have to spend a lot of money to make a huge amount of weathering stuff by yourself from artist materials, you know. But if you're not confident with that, if you're just coming into it and you're just doing a particular type of model, being able to buy something off the shelf is great. So I don't think there's, I think we're spoiled as modelers now. Kind of, we have this plethora of availability, whereas, you know, back in the day, you did actually have to think about this stuff and make it yourself. You can still do that. I don't think that's gone away. It's just that there are off the shelf things available if you want to throw money at something rather than actually do it. I think the downside of that is that you don't learn. So I think if you're going to push yourself using oils, using pastels, using pencils, you know, you start to learn about the textures of stuff and how things combine and pigments and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really useful going forward. But if you don't want to do that, you know, you don't have to. You can buy stuff off the shelf, and you know that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough.
A while back about. Sorry, I didn't hear that, Moss.
I don't think there's enough. A couple, you know.
I mean,
is there weathering for bird's nest there, Sally?
Say again.
Is there weathering for bird's nest there?
Do you know what? I think I'm going to have to produce my own.
There you go, man.
It'll be white with a grey middle, won't it? That's the
That's
thing.
the one, yeah.
Bird shit.
No, you see, Moss, there's bird shit from birds that have been eating raspberries, and there's bird shit from birds.
See, there you go. Look, see, I've already got a range. And
then you've got the size of the bird as well for the density of the bird.
You just have to have pigment for that.
Oh no!
I recently did a video about pre-shading, and I said in there, don't ever do what I've seen someone do and use a magic marker.
Yes.
Use a magic marker to do pre-shading, and then when you paint
Sharpie,
it just comes through like. Yeah. And
I've seen that happen.
I've done it loads of times, and it looks great. Okay, you think it looks great, then great. But
Sharpie, isn't it? There was a technique with a Sharpie.
What's the crosses on your model?
Yeah, that's it. I think it was a technique with a Sharpie, wasn't it? That's what they used.
It's too harsh.
What's that the premise? Is that the Gundam markers?
Yeah, these are the Gundam fine markers for panel lining, but they for the most part are really useful only if you're going to be doing, because with gunpla, right, like you can build them without having to paint them, and these work perfectly for doing that panel lining, and they're pretty much just permanent markers, and then you panel line with them, and while they're still wet you can wipe them off with an eraser with your fingers, but it's not exactly the same thing he's talking about. It was being a little bit facetious with that, but it is connected.
It is this. I've seen it done where somebody's used a permanent marker and you end up with like a sort of 8 or 10 mil wide line where you would normally spray a pre-shade. And then when you paint, it just comes through and you get this sharp black line around your panel lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really awful.
I tried that once and it looked so terrible that I'm like, okay, no more. I'm never going to use one of these to create panel lines. You can't paint and modulate over them.
Jared says, I like to use the weathering process to try to add to the story of the subject. And weathered models do still tell a story or do tell something of the subject story, but for me, it's lesser extent. Yeah, I get that. That's it. I think it's for everyone to decide what they're going to do, isn't it? But the reason I was bringing that was I was saying that I was trying to get my Mitsubishi Zero to look a bit dirty because get me up on big screen here, because the box art made it look a little bit dirty. It's not, so I wanted to replicate that using some shades and some panel wash and some dirt. I also tried the silhouette effect. Somebody told me, why bother in a 1/72 scale to paint the pilot? I sprayed him a really dark brown. That's all you need, just a silhouette of him in there. That's the idea. And I think that's come out really good. All these worrying about whether the hat's white or whatever, I just sprayed him a dark brown as a silhouette, because you really hardly see him through the glass anyway because of the so that was so I thought, and I looked at the box art, and the box art I've got it looking a little bit dirty. Not overly, but just enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so
like Zeros were known for being, dirty, especially towards the end of the war. But
well, they were coming off the boats, weren't they? That's the thing.
They had no bloody they didn't use any primer. They used to paint just fell off them.
Yeah.
Basically, paint my aluminium. So
what was that? Sorry,
I dry brush some green in a few places.
Yeah. John Parker says the engine cowling on the Zero was a very slight blue black. Yeah, but what I did was I sprayed it black. But what I then did, I went over it with an aluminium as a like a feather, just from a distance. Just do that with the cowling, just to give it a little. If you can see there, it's got like a little like silvery look to it because I know it's a bluey black. But obviously, the trouble is that we're all uneducated, really, when it comes, unless you really go deep into it and seeing what the colours were. And I think 90% of these pictures that we have of these planes in World War II weren't colour; they're black and white. So work it out from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, which is,
I've had this argument. Well, not this argument, this discussion a million times. People argue and they get really anal about correct cockpit greens. Was there a guy in the production like, stop production, stop, don't paint any more Spitfires, we haven't got the right green paint for the cockpit. Great. No. You look at Sky, when Sky first came out, they gave them white paint and told them to mix it themselves.
Yeah.
How many colors were mixed in the field before flying?
Yeah.
I have a favourite pointless fact about interior green.
Go on then.
Because I'm an exciting individual. There was a mistake made in the orders sent to the Republic factory, which means early P-47s had an incredibly dark cockpit green, like stupidly dark. You'd look at it and think, well, that's obviously wrong. And it's just because they sent the wrong proportion of black to be mixed, and they didn't realise until a little while later.
Yes, the instruction was use this and lamp black or this other black, and they missed the or, and they used both.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the actual P-47 is bronze green; it's a darker green than the normal issue.
Well, and the other thing is that if you actually, and this goes to the Cold War as well, right? And probably operational aircraft now, probably less so, is you used what was available. Like sometimes you didn't have enough of the right stuff, so you just used what was there. So if it called for 2 to 2 to 1, and you only had 2 to 1.7 to 1, that's what you did, because it was more important that we actually had aircraft in the air fighting rather than like, no, you can't send that up because it's not painted right.
It's just use
Like,
speed
they
tape
don't give a
now.
shit.
Just speed tape everything and then call it a day.
But the other thing you can do, go on Google Images and put in MiG-23 cockpit. They're all the same color, all that lovely green color. And look at the difference in shades you get just on one screen on your computer. So who can argue which is the right color?
Right.
It's just photographs and, sun fading and how old it is. And
Yeah, and then you've actually got the scale effect, depending on what scale you're at, how dirty the thing is, where it was used, who applied it. So
Yeah.
And the other fun one
I
that
think
I
it's
like to
impossible to get the perfect shade.
Yeah.
And then there's also the question of what is the light like when the photograph was taken versus the light in your modeling area.
exactly. I just want to say one thing because Moss made me laugh when he talked about whether it is zero. I saw zero for sale on eBay, and it was a crash diorama.
Wow.
And it was going down like this, and it had all the flames and stuff coming out of the engine and the smoke, and the propeller was already bent back. How did that happen?
A bloody massive seagull.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
your pen
That's
smoke,
fucking
man.
Jim, would you weather at all then, Matt?
Oh, that's funny.
I weather. I like to try different things, but
Yeah.
I'm very much of the ilk that it's my model and I'll do what I want. So people go to me, "Oh, that's not the right color," and I go, "All right, yeah. Did you build it?"
Yeah.
I use different techniques to try things out, and sometimes I don't weather anything. Actually, sometimes I just don't bother because I'm like, because if I'm making a review video, what good is a review on how well the kit builds and what it looks like at the end if you then completely alter the factory finish effectively out of the box? You alter the out of the box appearance with extra add-ons and details and shading and weathering techniques, because then you're not giving a true representation of how the kit is from the manufacturer. So sometimes I just won't bother. I'll just go, right, this kit wasn't worth doing extra stuff to. Some kits that I enjoy building, and I'll go, yeah, I'll do a bit of extra to it. But yeah, so like the Mr. Craft IL2, which I've recently finished. Nah, I didn't bother doing any weathering on that because, well, what's the point? Like I wanted to highlight to people how bad the kit actually is. So by leaving it in its raw state, you can see it in that way. I mean, you could take the worst kits in the world and weather them up beautifully, and you wouldn't know that they were these horrendous models to begin with. But then, for me, am I losing my whole purpose of having my YouTube channel?
George Davis, yes, they did. 2 even. RAF Museum has done a book with colour cards from the original British Standard B31 numbers, and those have standard mixture rates. Right, okay.
They would have had standard mixture rates, had a specification to work to, but you can't tell me that they would have stopped producing Spitfires and Hurricanes because they didn't have the right blend of brown.
British tanks at the early stage of the war had a shortage of green paint, which is why they started appearing in brown, because they just couldn't mix the green paint because they couldn't get the minerals.
The Russians put their IL2s out with bloody tractor paint on them. Remember, they were bright green and black? It was tractor paint from a tractor factory. And they put tanks out without any paint at all, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, there certainly was standardized colors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every single one was always in those standardized colors.
Right.
Yeah. Celtic West said, a relative of mine who served in the Western Desert World War II told me vehicles were painted in what was available rather than off-cow directives. But the other thing is, surely scale comes into this. At 172 or 148, whether you're looking at the tank in a darkened room using a yellow light or one of those cool lamps, or whether you've got it out in the sun naturally, surely there's so many instances of where the color is wrong or changed because of the situation of the light and what you're seeing on the screen. I find it. Somebody put, I think I put it on my Twitter. Somebody put a picture up of invasion stripes, and how shit they were. They,
Classic
we have
one,
these
yeah.
perfect lines, the width of Tamiya tape, with it 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 we're done. Actually, they were using mop heads to put the black and the white on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I remember
They weren't-
some
In
were,
most cases, sorry, go on,
Go
Oscar.
on, Sully. Go on, Sully.
I say most cases it was half of the case it was just watered paint.
Yeah.
It wasn't even full paint. They're just slapping it on and.
Yeah, but were they using standard width mops and brooms?
One station might have been.
Standard Air Force issue mops, I assure you.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, you actually would think they should be.
I've got pictures of typhoons with their identification stripes, not to be confused with invasion stripes, and they're perfect.
Yeah.
Pictures of Spitfire Mark 9s with stripes, perfect. Got pictures of Mark 9 Spitfires, looks like someone's thrown a bucket of paint in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it in the Korean War they put invasion stripes on the American aircraft, but they were like immaculately done? Because I remember I went to you must have been there, Nigel, is it Yeovil, the Royal Naval and I think they've got I think it's a Corsair or something, and it's glossed. The actual wings are glossed with this beautiful invasion stripes on them.
Yeah, usually, a lot of the time they use identification stripes. Like the Typhoon had identification stripes put on the wings because the English ground crews were shooting them out of the sky because they thought they were the B-190s.
Yeah.
Look at the Bostons. They had invasion stripes from D-Day onwards because the Americans kept shooting them down thinking they were Junkers 88s.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the Americans kept shooting down their own planes, didn't they, at the very beginning in the Pacific?
To be fair-sided, was HMS Devonshire was trying to shoot down swordfishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's be careful about that.
What do you mean tried? I can't imagine that being too hard to do. They did like 60 knots.
Yeah. They did. They attacked the swordfishes.
Yeah.
Swordfish attacked the British ships, didn't it? They thought it was Bismarck, and none of the swordfish worked.
Suez Crisis, the stripes were yellow and black. Yes, I've heard that before.
We're on the Gannet.
Yeah. The Gannet.
Back here.
I don't. Were the American Corsairs in yellow and black though, or was that just the French ones? I thought for some reason.
The British.
I may be completely wrong and have zeroed in on something that doesn't actually matter.
That's fine. No, I get that. I don't know.
Because when you go with the modelling in here, it talks about the yellow and black stripes that were used from Cyprus, and then they faded to white.
That's interesting there.
Sabres had stripes during the Korean War to differentiate between themselves and the MiG-15s. It was a Sabre, was it? I was trying to work out which one it was at the Royal Naval Museum.
They look pretty similar when they're flying around.
That's something I'd never thought of. If you held a model box up like that of a MiG and a Sabre, all those jets in that sort of period, you'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what plane it is? Pew! No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's one easy way.
That's army.
Yeah, there's an easy way. One of them has a star, and the other one has a star on it.
If it shoots you down, it was probably not friendly, but could have been.
There again, Midway, the American aircraft had a red circle in the middle of the star, and the Americans were shooting them down because they thought they were Japanese. They couldn't see the blue around the star. They couldn't see the white star around the red. All they saw was the red. So it shows
they're the same with the RAF at the same thing. They just saw the red, so they went to that two-tone blue.
That's why they went for the yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
No, it's true about the armor as well, because obviously the German armor used to have the cross, and it was white, and obviously we'd use it for target practice. And they decided to paint them black. Obviously, the British forces didn't learn when we went into when we invaded Europe again. And obviously, we had the stars, and we had the star on the turrets of the on the Shermans and the Pattons and the Pershings, and they ended up hurriedly having to paint them over because obviously they were being used for target practice by Panthers and King Tigers. So
You could set your crosshairs on them.
Yeah.
It was
Sure.
an aiming point, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the beauty of the Sherman is there was another 20 behind it to follow it up.
Yeah.
And
To
then
be fair, with a Sherman, it didn't matter where you hit it, did it?
No.
If you were a German tank, you hit it with anything, it would just blow up. So.
Well, they were called Tommy Cookers. The monsters.
they won the
So that brings us back to weathering.
Yeah.
Weathering. Yeah. We've gone from over destroyed to weathering. At model shows, there's a lot less weathering being seen in the competitions, and I was just wondering whether we've turned that corner now where people are slightly moving away from weathering. See, there's always that thought in your mind when something is over weathered, whether it's covering a multitude of evils. Does that not agree?
That depends, because I was about to say earlier, I'm just finishing off my Chieftain tank in Berlin camo, and the paintwork is beautiful. Everything about, even if I say so myself, I've put a lot of time into it. It's come out gorgeous. I'm now weathering it, and I've realised I am crap at weathering armoured vehicles. I've made a right mess of it.
Have you?
Mhm.
Did you gloss it first? Because the beauty about gloss is that when you weather something after you've glossed it, there's a lot of forgiveness there, isn't there? You can wipe it off as that again.
I've used mud, oils, and pigments, and I've made a right. I watched Sully's video
Yeah.
on his
I
D9.
watch his video, you cry.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of how bad it is.
No, it's really good. You
not-
put us all to shame, mate.
No. Yeah, the opposite.
I think the thing is,
I'm
Moss,
blushing there.
with weathering in competitions is exactly to the points that people have put in the chat, and people have mentioned it here, is that fear of hiding your mistakes. I think the best weathering is the weathering you don't really notice. But if you took it away, you would notice. So it adds that authenticity and realism and stuff, but your eye isn't drawn to it. You're still looking at the main subject. The weathering just sort of enhances it, like framing a picture or something. And I think what we would think of as weathering, heavy weathering, is that I think that's kind of reduced because of that. I think modelers are getting, especially in Europe, I would say, getting very much that they want to showcase their work and not, all the weathering stuff.
Understand.
I think people are effects
It's,
in these days.
sorry, mate, I missed that. What did you say?
I think people are probably after effects more than weathering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The what's it called where you go light to dark?
Yeah, Zenithal.
You can buy bloody paint sets for doing it. What's it called?
The zenithal highlighting?
No.
Fading.
Shaders.
Modulation.
You can buy, that's it, modulation. Thank you. You can buy 5 sets of MIG ammo paints for making your model go dark to light. Well, I just buy one green and put a little drop of yellow in it, perhaps.
See, I've got this here, Nigel, from Ammo Mig. It's the colours and weathering system.
Yeah.
It comes with a book, apparently showing you how to weather. It's not that good, to be honest. But it's got everything you need in here. It's got all the colours, all the paints, filter.
Yeah.
Your modelling pigment. It's got a neutral brown panel line wash. It's got enamel odorless thinners. Can I just say, this sounds really thing of me, right? Humbrol enamel. It's got a bit of a smell to it.
Yeah.
But it's better than the MIG ammo's enamel, which has got a smell to it as well. This is the odorless one, obviously.
Better in what way?
It just seems to be able to lift. It seems to blend better. I'll give
you a little test. Build some tracks.
Yeah.
Individual link tracks that have to glue together, like you get in a trumpeter kit. And then you'll get a wash using Humbrol enamel thinners. And they'll probably fall apart.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, because the enamel
I've done it.
is hot. It will attack the glue joints. Whereas the odorless thinners won't.
Oh, I see. I just thought it worked really well on the.
It's fine if you're doing like an aircraft wing or something, but if you're doing an assembly,
yeah,
you really
It depends how much you want to slap on it as well.
And battery kits as well. You've got to be really careful.
I find that weathering falls into two general camps, realistic and then stylish. No issues with either, but it does bug me when someone tries argue it's both. Most of the time it's now stylistic. Yeah, that's a good shout.
Mm.
And you expect some things to be weathered. Like I was saying, you know, I did that mini art Jeep bastard thing that came and it was bad
Phantom.
flashing. And every single one I've seen built is all been weathered to the max. Dirty wheels, sand, grits, even the windscreen wipers is, you know, you've got that effect where it's got, you know, the clean bit where the wipers have been, and you've got, you know, you don't see that one clean anywhere. I've never seen one built clean. Mine's clean because I haven't weathered it. Well, actually, I've just put it to one side and wept, if you know what I mean, on that one.
That said, should I get the abortion? Because that's the perfect thing for this, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
know. Do you think pre-shading is really worth it? Because every time I do it, I don't see the difference. Yeah, well, this is.
I do.
I religiously appreciate it. Yeah,
that's pre-shaded.
Yeah, I was gonna say usually I that's what I tend to go with, and I do see a good difference between my models that I do the pre-shading on and the ones I don't. Again, just the biggest thing is making sure you're not putting the paint coat over it too thickly, because if you do, yeah, you can immediately delete all that work. But if you're, you know, soft enough with it, it'll shine through perfectly.
Yeah.
If you go back last year on my channel, John, I did a video all about the pitfalls and using different colours for different top coats, and when you use it under camouflage and all that. But I look at that, and I usually use about 70% thinners if I'm going over pre-shading. And then you can watch it work.
Is Miss Modeler gone? Is she? Sorry, I was just saying Miss Modeler's gone. I hope she's all right. Yeah, I was about to ask her if she weathers, and I went to find her. She ain't gone. So,
haven't they?
Jumping over to the pre-shading for a moment. Sometimes it comes through too much.
Oh God!
I got it. It's not actually this bad in real life, but the camera makes it look awful.
I saw my own model there.
The good thing about that is at least you can go back over it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you put too much to start with, then you kind of either have to accept it or do it all again. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
I think, though, from Benedetto's point about the artistic versus stylistic, it's a really good point, because if you think of artistic, think of night shifts models, right? I would say they are artistic, rather than realistic.
Well, he has said that he's shifted from realism to artistic.
Yeah, and they look fantastic, and they appeal to your eyes, and you see a lot of stuff on model shows. And I think I probably saw less of that at Telford than I have in the past, about sort of stylistically weathered models. And you look at them and think, yeah, they look fantastic, but they don't look like they don't give the impression of a scaled down real thing in the way that if you had a photo of one next to it, it would look the same. But it still looks good, and it looks realistic to our eye, to our expectation. So I think it's a really good point about that sort of artistic and stylistic versus realistic.
Like you say, I mean, if you're talking competitions, it's all about the judges, wasn't it? I mean, some judges will want to see it squeaky clean. Some will want to see it weathered to hell. Some will want to see it stylistic. Some will, the big one for me.
I missed the competition, Airfix and Chill, for probably good reason. Don't get me started on competitions.
Yeah. I get all that.
I don't. I'm not going to go down that road, but I know where you're coming from, Alex. Exactly.
Yeah. When you lads use weathering techniques, a lot of us here use liquids. What about powders and stuff? Yep. You know, is there anything?
I have a whole big thing of I say big thing, it's like 3 times the size of what I'm marking here, but just full of artist pastels that they belonged to my wife back when she used to do pastels and stuff, but I've been using them for weathering, and I find that works better than half of the liquid stuff that I have, to be honest.
I've used it with some of the Chieftain moss, if you want to go and see that.
Yeah.
I did
Between
an
that
entire
and oils,
video
Yeah,
on this about
pigments.
a
I
year
use
ago.
pigments all the time.
But artist pastels, you can make your own pigments. I mean, they are pigments bound
That's what they
in
are, yeah.
solid form. And if people think that modeling products are better than artist products, you really have artist products. Artists demand far more from their pigments than we do.
I mean, this was entirely done with pigments and then acrylic washes that were just made with putting acrylic paint, water, and a little bit of thinner in.
The only thing with them is they're messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
God,
use
yeah.
about 20 times more than you actually see on your model.
Well, and
sorry,
on top of that
was
too,
it.
depending on the artist's pastels that you're using, some of them are really toxic, and so you absolutely. I mean, you should always be wearing a mask if you have anything dust-like going in the air. But some of them can really mess you up in the same way that resin can. And then there are other ones that are highly flammable when they become dust. So you do have to be mindful of both of those.
What do you use to fix them? Do you use acrylic or enamel thinners?
Nothing.
You
I do
can
varnish
use
at the end.
enamel.
I put them on, get it on, and then hit the varnish at the end, and that's all to fix it in.
I use a pigment fixer. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
I think
You
it's
buy a
basically
loose
enamel.
PVA.
yeah. It's probably. I think it's PVA if I smell it. Yeah.
Because I've got one here, which is the Modeler's World. And that's like a PVA. The MIG one, not MIG ammo, the old MIG.
Mm-hmm.
That's just enamel thinners.
The thing is, they're quite versatile pastels. In that you can use them as a powder, you can clump them together, using fix or whatever, and you can also like moisten them with a bit of water or a bit of alcohol solvent and create streaks and stuff. So you can do a lot with pigments and pastels that they're not just for like putting mud or soil on a diorama.
Yeah, I mean, they're the base of any paint, any weathering product is made from the pigments to begin with.
Yeah.
So once you have the pigments, you can then make whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do rain streaking, pigments are fantastic. The great thing about them is they're really subtle. You can be very subtle with pastels and build up the effect. They are not, though. To Nigel's point before, about ready-made stuff. A lot of people just want to slap a wash all over a model and then make it look like, oh, now why doesn't it look like Night Shift's model or Plasmo's model? It's like because they didn't spend 2 seconds slapping on a wash overall. They actually, like, if you watch the videos, they show you tiny bits and look how long it takes them to do that one thing. And they've done that 1,000 times over that model. It takes time. You've got to build it up. It's all about building up those skills.
Yeah.
It's not
Matt,
something you can do with a can.
I'll be honest. That is one of the reasons why I don't weather things like as much as a lot of other people do, is because I am way too ADHD to sit there and spend that much time. I will happily make it a little bit more brand new if it means I don't leave it on the shelf forever because I didn't finish it because I got distracted.
Right.
I'm gonna get on with the next one.
Matt, you use a lot of pastels in weathering, don't you?
Yeah, so I've used artist pastels in the past. They work all right. I've got those weathering pigments as well, which are basically pastel dust, but they have a slightly different consistency. But then again, you can get pastels, artist pastels, and then depending on what they're actually made out of, you can get chalk, you can get oil-based ones. I find the oil-based ones work the best. They're quite good for powdery stains, but I think everything has a different use. So I would use pastels for, I'd call them like dry weathering, so stuff that you get from like smoke or whatever, but they don't work so well for like oil spills and things like that.
They're good for
that
rusting.
For that you want it, for rust, I don't know,
Like exhaust and stuff.
So something that's hot and dry like an exhaust is quite good for it. But I mean, if you want to do, I mean, you can always make them wet as well, which gives them another layer of use. But I've been trying out airbrush weathering recently. I quite like doing smoke stains with airbrush.
With an airbrush,
finish,
That's what I do with the outlaw paints. I binned it 50-50 with which one was it? Tamiya lacquer thinner, this one, and then did the tops of the Bearcat where the guns were, and that came out really good. Apparently he's sending me some proper thinners that he uses. Try that. So
They're lacquer based, aren't they?
yeah, they're lacquer based, yeah. But he said that Jason says that the thinners that they use is premium stuff, not Tamiya stuff.
Nice.
But we'll have a go, won't we? So yeah, as I said, with that, it's like AK weathering pencils. Apparently that's the in thing at the moment. So these weathering pens are really good, but I'm reluctant to buy anything AK. Sorry.
I've never ever used them.
Never used them.
They're really fantastic, actually, for doing like mud effects.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I want to go off topic for a second. Who's got chickens? Because they're not mine.
That's Moss. Moss has chickens.
I got chickens, but they're in the coop at the moment.
Can you hear them?
You can hear them. They're all, were they horny or something or what?
Egbert is. We know Egbert is. He gets a bit rough with them sometimes because he jumps on the back of them and pulls their feathers behind their neck. And one of them's got a bit of a bow patch, so she must be on. You know what I mean? On his radar. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'd love to know if anybody does do weathering pencils or what these weathering pencils actually are. Let me know, because I don't want to buy AK. I want to buy another brand.
I can tell you exactly what they are, Moss. They are artist watercolor pencils.
Is that what they are? Is it
just as well? Because I was going to say I've used them; they're fantastic, but I haven't used the AK ones. I've used artist ones.
Okay,
they're great. Yeah.
Nice. Have you done a side by side then? Have you?
No, because I haven't used the AK ones. I'd have to take them out of stock, which means
if somebody could do a side by side, and then I'll go off and buy my Winston and Newton.
I remember somewhere.
AK and Mig Ammo don't develop anything. They just other people's products and stick it in a pretty box.
Well, like I remember seeing somewhere on AK, either on their site or like on one of the product descriptions for it, like it literally just says on the box that they are watercolor pencils. Like they call them weathering watercolor pencils or something like that. I don't remember if it's on the box or if it's like on their site or somewhere like that, but they're fairly transparent that it's just watercolor pencils.
Yeah, I've been using watercolor pencils for stuff. I've just got W.H. Smith ones and they work just as good.
Yep, Stapler ones work well. They're probably the cheapest.
If anything, it's just actually getting it right. It just takes a bit of practice and getting it right is the issue.
I've heard they're really difficult to use.
Yeah, I've struggled a bit, to be fair.
So which one is difficult to use?
Just anything like that, but they're like the watercolor pencils. They are difficult to use, but it's just like anything. It just takes a bit of practice to get it spot on.
Has anyone in the chat, before I go on, now that Ammo Mig have bought out Alclad, have they seen a change in the product yet? Or has there been a change in the product?
I haven't bought any new Alclad paints in a while, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
I have.
That is chickens, isn't it? Who's got chickens? Or is that the dog?
That's what we're asking. That's what we're asking.
You're
hungry, man.
Because they're definitely not mine.
I ain't got a chicken. Who's got a chicken?
Not me. I was muted.
Is it your dog, Alex? Asleep?
No. Oh, it could be. He's snoring.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, that's what it is, man.
So it sounds too much like a chicken to me.
Like a chicken, yeah.
I thought his chicken coop got out of control.
No, they're under. I put them away for tonight.
What is it with dogs and cats say? I don't know whether you heard the latest Just Making Conversation podcast. I tell you what, I had to listen to it because I had to record the bit when Malcolm's there talking to Dave from 3D Gizmo, which I want to point out. There's definitely a trend forming here with the guests that we get who end up on Just Making Conversation.
We lead, they follow us.
We put it out there, but the cat jumps on the screen and then Malcolm says, I got to move this cat. He just put his arse in my face and then puts it down and goes, he needs to be punished.
Needs to be punished, yeah. Funniest
thing ever, that. Anyway, so AK. Only one of Alclad have changed the build up of their paint or anything. People say things like that, don't they? You know, when they take on a product, it doesn't always be the same as it was when it was originally on their own. So
I find the biggest problem, you know, when people have to change things for the sake of it, they change the design of the bottle. A bottle like that, as opposed to the old Alclad bottle.
yeah,
You can see how much pigment there is. And it's like, look at that. You can see the,
It's like
that bottle that's a brand new bottle. It's full up to there. Yeah.
yeah.
See the pigment in the bottom?
yeah, looks like an eyelash.
That is it.
Wow.
I reckon they've got a lot less pigment in them now than they did when they were Alclad.
I've got Alclad here. Let me have a look.
Here,
Well, they definitely do.
So Alclad was already like
Just
so
aluminum.
massively thinner.
look at the pigment in there.
Wow.
And this ain't no. They sent me these for free to review on the channel, and I'm not doing it because they're shit. The other problem with them is I've got one here which is exhaust or something it's called. That's really nice, the blue one. There's one here which is called exhaust. And that one there is called high metal carbon. Look at the pigment in the bottom there. It's less than here.
Oh yeah.
5% of the volume or less.
It's not even that, is it? That one there, that's engine exhaust.
Wow.
Now the problem with it is they've changed the design of the bottle. It's got a sharp neck. See, so when you pour it out to come up the edge and when you pour it out, you can't get any pigment because all the pigment sinks to the bottom. So you have to get it out with a pipette.
Yeah.
I don't like because then you have to throw that pipette away. And I'm not into single-use plastics.
This is black chrome. This is their black chrome.
Wow.
And
Is that the old one? Is that Alclad?
Yeah, this is old. This is old.
Yeah.
You literally can't even see it. I mean,
Let me put you on big screen there a minute,
Yeah, go for
John. Hang on, John. Can you? So, what color is that one?
all right. So this is Alclad black chrome.
Yeah, that's the one I've got. Yeah, go back around so you can see where the lacquer is. Keep going, keep going. Look at that.
Sorry.
It's like 2/3. It's like a third of a bottle of it, isn't it?
No.
No.
It's just that little
it's like-
layer at the bottom.
It's about
Is that
3
what it is?
millimeters at the bottom.
Oh,
Wow.
a millimeter maybe. It's nothing. I'm sorry. I don't have a great camera here.
That's
but-
fine. That's right.
Oh, there you go. That's a bit better. It's just that
Yeah.
black rim at the very, very, very bottom.
Okay.
It's
the
thinner
rest-
than the glass at the bottom of the bottle.
Sheer thinner.
Let's have a look at yours, Nigel.
Here's my Alclad chrome.
Yeah.
Because it's been in a stand on an angle like that, so you can see the pigment there, and that's a half decent bit of pigment in there.
Yeah.
And there's the Alclad aluminium. You can see again, there's a decent bit of pigment in there.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but when you compare it to this is the aluminium A stand. I mean, there's
Is that
nothing.
because it's a
It's
wider
powder
bottle though, Nigel? Is it a lot wider, the bottle?
Yeah, but if you look, I mean, this gets even worse. I'm not sure if I can do this, but look underneath. It's not even deep enough to fill. There's like a curve on the bottom of the bottle, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I see
It's
it.
just that around the rim, around the edge. It's not even any in
Wow.
the middle.
It's like a
Yeah.
car
Yeah.
seat.
Mm.
You can see how little there is in there. There's nothing in there.
There's more
Amazing.
sediment in my wash bottle than that.
I've got more sediment in my pants.
You know, too much information, Nigel.
But I do know that bloke that was there next to the Hong Kong model stand.
Yeah.
He was working on a B-17 when he was there, and he had a tailplane that he'd sprayed with A-stand, and apparently A-stand sold out of polished aluminium in about 3 hours, and they came over. They bought him over a bottle of whiskey. And I
So
know
I was saying, was he airbrushing that stuff? Was he?
No.
Not at the stand. Yeah, 'cause they banned everyone from airbrushing, haven't they? At Telford,
somebody was airbrushing.
was there? Because they
Yeah.
banned it. Yeah, because that's
Not-
why. That's
Fucking
why
hell.
Outlaw Paints didn't do any airbrushing that day because they weren't allowed to.
Well, I don't think they banned
They're
it, Ross,
lacquer.
but they had to have so much liability insurance, and so there were so many barriers that they put in the way. But James was just like, it's not worth it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, it's effectively banning it when you just say you've got to have like, I don't know, 10 million public liability, and you've got to have an extractor, and you've got to do this and that and the other, and make it not practical.
Yeah, I get that.
I think the money they're charging, they're gonna ruin that show.
Listen, at the end of the day,
£7 for a stand.
£2,000.
£7,000, I heard.
Well, I heard from
only if you're getting a massive one.
when I was talking to the there was a company model somebody at Bugle Corps, and he said he didn't do Telford this year because they wanted £2,500, and he had a little small setup, at the end of the day, like I keep saying, magical societies, because I dabble in magic, we don't charge dealers anymore because it's the dealers that a lot of people come to the shows for, is to see the dealers. And if you remove that barrier and they think, well, we'll just buy it online, fuck them, they're not going to come to that show.
I will say, Moss, though, I think a lot of that is Chinese whispers, because you can get the fees for Telford. You just have to ask for them. It's £250 for a small stand, for a standard table width, single stand.
He told me directly that he was told that he would have to pay £2,500 for his store.
Not true. £250. I know, because I booked mine for 2024.
Oh, you going up there? Are you? You're gonna? Was that what to sell?
No, I'm not. I'm going to use it as a PR kind of awareness thing.
No, but that's what I mean. If you're a dealer, it's £2,500.
No, that is as a dealer. That is as a dealer.
If you're a club, it was free. If you're a club, it's free. If you're a trader, I think it must be £2,500 per table then.
Yeah. No, 250.
That's 3 tables.
It's £250 for a standard size 6-foot table as a trader.
Wow.
Why are we so different then? Is it on the website, the cost of this stuff? Then?
Yeah, you just it's either downloadable or you ask for. I think it's just downloadable. I've got the schedule. I can tell you exactly how much.
Really?
I mean,
let me have a look
bigger
at that.
for like much bigger ones, but if you are Jad
I mean,
or something,
Rory stopped doing it, didn't he? Because he reckoned it was costing him over £6,000 for a weekend.
£6,000. Yeah, that's what he told us. Yeah.
And I know that Premium Hobbies, because he's got
buy a car for
3 or
that.
4 people there, that weekend costs him about £16,000.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, I do have a little bit of knowledge in when I do exhibitions and shows, because obviously I did the whole setup online for the exhibition, so it does they do cost quite a bit.
Wow.
One that gets me is places like Silverstone and that, and these people who got burger vans and they charge them like $2,500 just to park up for the day. It's like, Jesus Christ.
oh, sorry, I told a lie, Moss. It wasn't £250, 225.
Oh,
The most expensive stand at Telford, and you can have multiples, of course, of these, so it can be more, is £3,000, 9 tables, 2,990.
Is that per day or for the weekend?
That's for the weekend.
See, why are women so different than Nige? Because I heard what you said. I heard what Flory said. Because people,
I mean,
around £6,000.
If you've got to get, I mean, if that's the cost, if you're paying £3,000 just for the table, I think that includes like a certain number of passes per, depending on how big it is. If you've got additional passes, they cost more. You've got the cost of the hotels. So if you've got 10 staff and you've got to get hotel rooms for them all, for Friday and Saturday night minimum, £100 a pop, £200 times 10, that's another £2,000. You've got all the petrol, the fuel, so insurance, all that kind of stuff. The on costs, I can imagine it costing, into like 6, 7, 8, 9 grand if you're a big trader taking a load of people there easily.
Interesting.
I know Ed told me once it cost him 16 grand.
Hmm.
That was hiring the van, staff.
Yeah.
He must have he has a big stand, doesn't he? It's a bloody
Food
big stand.
expenses.
Massive stand.
Yeah. Well, I imagine staff is going to be a big cost of that as well, isn't it, for the weekend? Because you're going to have to pay them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're long days.
Unless, of course, these people tell everyone that it costs this much because that's their tax write-off.
Well,
You need receipts for that, right? Yeah.
That's a good point, Nigel. I didn't put in my on cost. It's $8 grand. I'm
Yeah,
spending.
all right.
If any of HMRC officials are watching this, I spent at least 10 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to do it to for your shop then, basically, is it? For a
Yeah.
PR thing? Yeah. Fair enough. I'm just seeing where the prices are online. I can't see the prices on the scale model world.
See, Georgia said if burger vans make a killing, they do. I once heard it was pennies for a burger because they buy so many rolls and burgers and that. But when you think about it, if they're paying like $2 grand just to park up, they've got to sell. If they sell burgers at £3 each, they've got to sell say they sell them at £4 each. They've got to sell 500 burgers before they start to make a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the smell of the burgers when you go there, the smell of the burgers and the onions, and then it draws you in.
Yeah, but not if it's a quiet event.
No.
Alex, in a previous Airfix and Chill, you talked about literally how much it would cost you just to break even to go to one of these shows. I don't know if you remember that. It was you were talking about how much you would need to sell just to break even if you had a
which is one of the reasons I'm not even considering taking like the hassle, the ball ache of taking like a whole bunch of stock, taking it there, setting it up, all the additional time and stress and hassle. I mean, if you saw James at the end of the show, I mean, he was a broken man. He'd work like a dog through that weekend,
Yeah.
And he still helped me out with the outlaw paints, stuff, because that's the kind of guy he is. I'm going to do the simplest thing possible. I'm going to take some stuff. I'm going to do like some, hands-on demos and have some giveaways and, some 3D printed stuff, but just use it as an advertising thing and just write it off as that rather than try to make money on it. Because I think if you want to make money, you do need a bigger stand like Wonderland and all the rest. You need to have, whatever it is, 4 or 5 tables wide, and then that does start to get into the $1,500, $2 grand kind of space.
Just out of asking, somebody's put on here. Does that include you could the payment? So say for instance you wanted the end of the line, or you want the particular space in the area. Do they charge you extra for that? Because Jadlam was there right in the middle, weren't they? When you walked in, they were there, which is interesting because
if you want a corner, it's more expensive and all that stuff.
I on the grapevine that people were very frustrated that they were giving away vouchers on the day at Telford, and they could only use them online, and that pissed a lot of people off because they were going. This is what I was told. Because I never picked up a voucher, I walked past them, went straight to the Airfix stand, to be honest, to look at the new club, the new club model they've given out in January, and apparently, a lot of people have mentioned to me that it was a con that you got this voucher and you go over there to buy their stock and they say you can use it online. It's like they lost the trick there because. People would have wanted stuff there and then, and why add to the carbon footprint by making you buy online for them to having to ship it to you to use your £5 or £10 voucher?
A con from Jadlam Mouse? Surely not.
Don't get politics here, mate.
Sorry, they probably want to get you on the system.
Yeah.
So they can start sending you marketing emails and get repeat sales rather than just having a one-off sale at the show.
I do wonder how many people did actually use their voucher then.
That's right.
Thinking, you know what, if I can't use it here, I saw quite a few lying around by the catering bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, people saying, "Oh, you your voucher."
Well, it's like they say, isn't it? A good deal is only a good deal if you were going to buy it anyway.
Anyway,
if you weren't going to buy it anyway, then you've just made a normal purchase or an extra purchase.
Yeah, and a lot of people opt out anyway. I opt out a lot. I opt out a lot of these emails. I think the only ones that get through, is the Airfix one. I got the WhatsApp from Revell, which is a bit annoying because it always comes in German. So when they announce something that comes from my WhatsApp, it's in German to translate it then in Google Translate. I got e-models. I got them on subscription, which is good. I've got, I think, Jadlam. So I got some newsletters from Jadlam come through. That's how I found out about the SRN1 before Airfix announced it, was through Jadlam. So
a friend of mine's just bought the border model nose, Lancaster nose.
Yeah.
And it came in a bag.
No, did it?
Came in a bag, and it's all the clear parts are all scuffed up because the box got crushed. It's all rubbed on the top.
Oh no!
So
how much does that cost, Nigel? That's not cheap.
85 quid. It was on sale. It's normally 120 quid. They put it in a bag. Yeah.
Put it in a bag.
That's bad.
It's not a very It's not a very strong box.
Yeah.
It's not like as bad as Revell or anything, but it's it's not very thick. It's very thin cardboard.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stick that. I mean, you'd get away with sticking an Airfix Gannet in a bag, but not this.
The thing is, when you got a box that big, it's going to get stuff stacked on it, so it has to be strong. When in terms of like putting through the post.
Ah, right. They're like, oh, it's a big box. We can put more big boxes on it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why yours looked rather industrial when it arrived, John.
Actually, all the stuff you sent arrived perfectly fine. There was no issues whatsoever. So thank you, Alex. Yeah.
Well, amazing. A job. That's,
No.
Yeah.
It all got here perfectly fine. So
that mean international orders are open now?
Oh, they have been
for select clientele.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I missed that then.
Darren Cook said my Gannet showed up in a bag, and I'm going to be pissed. Oh, so you bought from them, have you? Do you hope it don't come in a bag?
Well, it doesn't matter because it comes in a cardboard sleeve anyway, and the box on its own is strong enough to withstand it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the good things, and also you know how many models that Airfix have pre
1,000.
8,190.
8,000 Gannets.
What a kit! What an amazing kit that is.
Yeah.
Did you see my review of the Mini Art P47?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about how this kit is, and I said, but I've got to be honest. The new Airfix Gannet is as good as this, and I never ever thought I would compare Airfix with Mini Art.
Wow.
No. What I saw on Flory Models was the way that Pramjet had it all together, dry fitted, and then he pulled it all apart. That just said it all to me.
You can do that with the Hong Kong Models A20.
Yeah.
I've built the Bombay, and I've got all the fuselage all clipped together. You can just pick it up and shake it; it doesn't fall apart.
Yeah. I'm going to have a crack at the Gannet, I think, over Christmas, alongside the Rockwell B1B big beast. I'm going to go with that over Christmas as well. I'm going to start.
That's going to be a very different Airfix experience, Moss.
It's funny you say that. Like, I'm really struggling to get back to doing film builds on my channel, because I've so enjoyed. I've built the Zero, and that Bearcat off camera. It's more of a pleasing experience than doing full builds for YouTube.
Do you know, I did exactly the same to do some videos for the Outlaw Paints.
Yeah.
So I did the the Dogfight Double, but it's the old Airfix Dogfight Double of the 1/48 scale Spitfire and Messerschmitt.
Not
So
a bad
like
kit, is it? That
No,
Messerschmitt's not a
that's
bad
like a
kit, is it?
1976 or 1978 Messerschmitt, and but I built all of those off camera because I thought the build isn't important. You know, it's spraying the paints. I'll tell you what, not doing it on camera is fantastic.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so sad. You know, when I see these, you know, and fair crack, you know, Mac Models did the Gannet for his. And I thought fair crack to him, you know. But I've just, you know, it's gone back to just building off camera is such a delight. You know, whether I just start doing it as live streams and do parts, I don't know. I don't think people like them like that, do they? But whether I, you know, edit it down or just put the camera down and not, it's the editing that gets me, you know, because as soon as you've done a bit, you upload it to your computer, edit that section, and you go back to it. You're not actually continually just looking at the model and playing with it. And yeah, I'm definitely going back to. I'm just struggling to get my mojo back into building. See, I've updated this to 1080p now, so that I can start doing that Mustang as live stream. So I'm going to do that live stream now and just do that. So, so the BF 109 wasn't the BF 10, was it? It's not the 110, it's the 109, isn't it? In that dogfight, Alex.
Yeah. It's. I think it had 1976 stamped on it, or it might have been 78. But
you see the 48th ME 109.
The Dragon one.
Yeah.
Can I just say something, for instance, right? Before we get to they've been promising us that for fucking 7 years. They've had it in a leaflet that it's going to be so there's no seam line. They designed it so there's no seam. But there's an argument to that there is actually a seam line that you need to put in.
It's going to be an old line. It hasn't got a seam down the spine anyway.
Yeah. Top and bottom, there's a seam because the panels are done from top to bottom.
Yeah.
The only areas that it needs to be seamless is the nose cowl and the chin and with the radiator. That's it.
Just from sort of the wing back, that's one piece.
Yeah.
So you're still going to have to scribe a seam in there because if they're slide molding it with two halves, if they're doing that, and that, you're going to end up with a seam here. If they're doing two halves, you're going to have to scribe it because they can't mold that. You can't get the molds apart. So maybe that's what.
They all I'm saying is they do they've been promising that for 5. You know, I've got a Dragon kit that I've had for 5-6 years, and there was a leaflet inside showing you this. They're doing this BF thing when it's all side molded. Is it slide or side? It's side, isn't it? Not slide. Slide molding. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then we promised it for years, and so you know, I know Jonathan Mock put a thing up on the Interested Modeling Company page, and I was like, well, I've seen this CAD for years and years and years. Give it to us. If not, go back to cast iron tanks because they look pretty good as well. Question: do people want to see a real-time build? They do. I did it with the Concords. They do, but it's not. You know, you're looking at 12-15 hours of footage, and people going to watch part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4.
Yes,
listen, the average person who watches a video is 10.5 minutes of a 30-minute video, so it doesn't rank then.
I think what happens is I'm not known for doing quick videos. I'll do 30 parts on a build.
Yeah.
My viewers like it. A lot of viewers can't stand it. They'd rather go and watch Plasmo build a £250 kit in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what they want to see. If that's what they want to see, fine. But if I try and do it any quicker, I get pulled up for not showing enough detail. I get people complaining I show too much detail. What can I do?
You can't.
Nigel, all I'm going to say is at least we've got builds on our channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, having
the gloves help, by the way, Nigel?
Sorry?
Did the black gloves help with anything, by the way?
Yeah. There's a guy.
It was a popular video, that one, amongst us. The
America absolutely hates people wearing black gloves, so I put the black gloves on.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant, man.
I think
I
that
did a
having-
video one. I put gloves on occasionally because I bite my nails and people moan at me. They see my nails being bit. I'm sorry. I'm a psychologically damaged kid, so that's why I
I
bite
bite
my
my
nails.
nails. I have done since I was 6. I apologise for it, and I get told to shut up, stop apologising.
Yeah.
Not win on YouTube. You cannot.
No. No.
If there was nothing to complain about, people would complain that you don't have anything to complain about.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I did a one
Do you know
video.
what, Richard?
Here we
I
go.
had a really-
Let's get started. Oh, I've got some shit for that.
Hey! I had a really good statement the other day, and I've written it down. So I'm going to do an article on it for my Substack. I haven't written one this week because I've had a really emotional weekend, so I've not had a chance to write a Substack. So there'll be no Substack tomorrow. Those in the know will know what's happened this weekend. But somebody said if they banned porn from the internet, there will be no internet. There will be a big black sign saying "Bring back porn."
Isn't it something like 62% of all hits on the internet are porn?
Porn now.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that's low. I think it's. I've heard
Mm.
statistics which are much higher than that.
It's low
Yeah.
for what Alex watches.
Checking out your new car.
Oh yeah,
price.
maybe I'm just going my search history. It's like 95.
Yeah, I think yeah.
5% models, 95% that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was about the same actually.
I'd be more worried about whatever they instigated to cause an actual ban to take effect and hold. You know what I mean? Like they banned something, that means there's 400 sites that immediately pop up with it.
I've got a friend who does disco mix. He does mixing. So he does all these like happy house and relaxing music videos. And his thumbnail is something like what's that noise?
This is like a motorcycle or something.
All right. So his thumbnail says like relaxing chill music, and he's got a woman in a bikini with a thumb down the thong bit at the front, just smiling. And that video, it's got 2.5 million hits.
Yeah.
When he first put that video up of this chill house music, he had about 400 hits after a year. Changed the thumbnail. It's got 2.5 million hits on that one now. He's made a killing from it. That's £14,000 he's earned from that video.
Wow. I've got to leave early, Moss. I've got to change some thumbnails. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I was thinking that. But would it work? You know, would having a woman holding up a kit in a pair of, looking scantily, I'm going to review this. Would that work?
I did a video. I put a picture of me in my pants, and it got 6 hits.
Honestly, like
I bet they asked whether it was AK weathered or Big Hammer weathered pants.
It's just the wrong colour.
We've already heard about the
number of
sediment in your
those.
pants,
Yeah.
Nigel.
You can sit there and hold up kits with your long legs and stockings, and it'll get 10,000 hits, right?
Yeah.
I'll tune into that one.
Yeah.
As long
There's
as it's
actually a
got
number of
John
them in the
Alex
gunpoint
soothing
community
voice
that have
over
been
the
starting
top.
up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What you can, while people get there. The good thumbnail is always good. Getting a catchy thumbnail is always good.
Was that Hobby Night? Is it Hobby Night?
Hobby Nights?
Yes.
Yes.
We all know Hobby Nights. She's on many platforms, is Hobby Nights.
There's another one, isn't there? Is it a Czech or Polish, Eastern European woman, jet black hair? She does modeling as well.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking
Scarlanger.
about.
Scarlanger, isn't it? Is it his
Yeah.
missus, isn't it?
Mm.
Anne. Is it Anne? I should know.
Anna.
I've got her on. Oh, no, that's it. I should know that.
Anna.
I've got her on Instagram.
I've met Anna. She's all right.
I'm just
Yeah.
I don't even have hair, so
Well, you did.
I was wondering whether to do like a bust. You get these, like Lara Croft, and just airbrush a Lara Croft in the middle of the video alongside me spraying up a Spitfire. I've got some spare brownie off the Spitfire. I'll just do a coat, with brown. Whether they put that as a thumbnail, maybe that will get some decent hits.
Mhm.
Brilliant. I want the next Model Minutes of you all being models in lingerie.
Oh
Behave. Behave.
Demonetized.
I'll do it.
Yeah. That's thumbnail for you, Yeah.
How do you do skid marks with weathering?
Well,
that'll be in the
let
next.
me tell you.
That'll be in the next AK
Yeah.
controversial book that they release. Skid marks in underpants like that. You know?
James, LPJ Models. He has a video where he's doing that with the oils, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, it looks like a skidder." I died laughing because it looks exactly like a skidder.
Then you'll think, "Oh my god, that looks shit," and it does look like wet shit. It's awful.
Yeah. Well, we've gone a bit away from modelling now for weathering anyway.
I need to do better.
Actually, maybe that's a thing we should do. It's just like I just seen one of the comments saying that they will do something if we don't do that. Maybe we should threaten people, sub to the channel, or next episode we'll be topless.
I'm just wearing my humbug t-shirt here. I thought it was brilliant. Have anybody noticed that all these deals that are coming out from Hornby, from Scale Electrics, there's been adverts for Posha, deals on Scale Electrics, all these deals going on from Airfix and all that. Not a single deal coming out from Humbro, is there?
Is there deals on Posha?
There is a deal on for that John Player Special Lotus. It's like 700 quid or something. I saw an advert for it on my Facebook.
Looks like a tweet like that.
We're trying to. Well, I'll tell you why you're on here, because we were talking about this, about the pricing of Posha, because a Posha kit is 800 odd quid, right, to £1,200. Those D'Agostini kits, in theory, then are in that right price bracket.
Yeah.
When it comes to the price,
but they're not as good as the old Posha kits.
Posha kits are crap now. I'll let you know that for a fact.
Since Hornby have had them, they're pretty crap.
I know somebody who
the motorbike Formula One
bought one, and he had to drill out loads of the hose and re-tap them so that they're not finished. They just like they've come off. They've not been. No, it's like hobby trains, isn't it? There's something. There's not that final finish, if you know what I mean, on them.
You look at an old Posha Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
It's got a crankshaft. It's got com rods. It's got pistons. It's got camshafts, valves, rocker shafts, valve springs. The engine actually turns over like a real engine. That new stuff is like.
No auctions tonight, people. I'm going to do something different about the auctions. So no auctions tonight. There probably won't be any more auctions for a while.
Shall I do an auction?
If you want to do an auction, mate, you want to sell something?
You can't put a reserve on, can you?
Pardon?
You can't put a reserve on, can you?
No reserve. No, it's from the £5 up.
Not chancing that.
No. I'm going to start putting my models that I want to sell on Vinted. I think it's easier. No disrespect to anyone here. People don't buy them, all right? They don't go for good, and to be fair, it's only us on the panel end up buying them. None of the viewers actually, a few from the viewers buy them. But I just feel that it'd be easier for me to put them on Vinted at a good rates, not mega bucks, not eBay pricing or nothing, but I can sell them cheap on Vinted because I'm not being charged all the fees and hidden fees, and they look after the postage. So it's be better for me to put this all on Vinted now and just sell them on Vinted, if that's all right with you guys.
And then people that bid on
there's a special model which I think I've been given this model. I'm talking about models that I've bought myself, okay? Models that I've had in the stash, and I've paid good money for them because they're old vintage, and I've liked them, I've collected them, and I just feel that it's when something goes for quite cheap, you're thinking, well, I paid nearly 50-60 quid for that because it's a rarity. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm being honest. I'd rather put them on Vinted, send you all the link to it. It'd probably be my wife's Vinted. Put it on a link, and then let you crack on and have a go. And if you want to buy it, buy it. If not, not. But it's And also, like, you ask people not to do friends and family, and then they don't, and then you end up with like 6 or 7% charges on top. It's just the aggravation of doing an auction. I'm not saying I won't do an auction, but I just feel the stuff that I've paid for, I'd rather sell on and get some sort of money back. And stuff I've been given for free that I've been asked to review, not necessarily build, because a lot of people just send it for review, not to build. I will put them on as an auction to you guys, so that it'd be given to me for Moz to do on the channel. It's not right for me then just to try and sell it at going rate. I'd rather give you the opportunity as like a competition to buy them and cover some costs and help me buy a new camera. So that's the reason why I've stopped doing them. All right.
And people bid on it and then don't pay you.
Yeah.
That's
There's a few like that. Yeah. Hassle. So if it loses me viewers, so what? It's but there will be auctions again. It's just, it's majority of the team is just filling up Alex's shop.
Yeah.
But I will put in the link for Vinted at some point, and I'll get them up online.
Do you sell for commission in your shop, Alex?
I can do.
Okay.
I can give you a crippling commission rate if you wish, Nigel.
Cool.
Because I was going to say, for you got your own platform, for you, it's just money in the bank, isn't it, really, Alex? When I do on eBay, I'm getting charged 20%, 22% on some of this stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
It's-
know. I don't want to do it on eBay.
Yeah.
eBay-
I'd only charge 50, so it's really easy to make the calculation. What's yours is mine.
Yeah, fair play. So, anybody here got any recommendations for good weathering systems? Okay, Mig Ammo do a complete range of washes. I presume they're all enamel based, aren't they? Is there acrylic based washes?
Yeah.
I suppose
Yeah.
Glory Models is acrylic based.
Vallejo has acrylic washes.
They do.
Yeah,
And Mig Ammo do those shaders, the little black bottles.
are they good? I've
Never
got
tried
shapes. Yeah.
Gimmicks. Well, I have tried them. It's just very, very, very thin paint.
Yeah. Laser Creation World does it all the time. They take their Vallejo paint and they just heavily dilute it with water, and they gunge wash it, and they let it dry, and that's
I'll
it.
tell you what, I think the best weathering system anyone could buy, if they're on limited budget, is a set of oil colors and a bottle of odorless thinners.
Yeah.
What thinners? Sorry.
Odorless thinners.
Okay.
And if you paint your models with acrylic paint, or you give them an acrylic clear coat before you put any washes on there, you can get any effect you want with that, and then you can start buying a few pastels.
Celtic West says artist oils are your best friend, but you use inks as well, don't you, Celtic? You use a lot of inks.
I've tried inks. Get on with them.
You can't get on with them.
No.
Liquitex do a whole range of really nice inks in pretty much any color you could think of.
Yeah.
Also, if you just want stuff out of the pot and you want acrylic, some of the Games Workshop colors like Nuln Oil are quite good. It's just, if you buy, my recommendation to people who buy Games Workshop is go on eBay or Amazon and get some screw top dropper bottles, just the plastic ones, and reformat them, because Games Workshop pots are crap and your stuff will dry out pretty quickly.
I've heard that.
Ammo stuff as well. That's their bottles are pretty crap. I had some Mig Ammo latex, the masking fluid. It just turned into a lump of snot.
Did it really?
I know people that have got this stuff as well. It's the same bottle, actually. The Ultra Glue, and that's what just dried up in the bottle.
I've got that. I bought some at Telford.
Yeah.
Is it any good?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what people get sucked into, right? We've got air weathering set, German late fighters. Okay?
Yeah.
And in there, we have a MiG 1613 panel line wash for RLM 76 and 78. We have a MiG 1611 panel line wash for RLM 81 and 82. And then we have 1612 panel line wash for RLM 83. I mean, come on.
Ridiculous.
You need one of them.
I mean, they're not wrong. They'll all work.
Yeah, but you don't need all
You can't.
I think the whole industry that has grown up around this is the myth of, you can create these effects. And Meg and, Verlinden are kind of probably two of the people that are most guilty for doing this, because they're good modelers. They put out all of this stuff and then they sell their things like, oh, if you buy these, you can make models like ours. And it's like, well, you could always make models like theirs. You don't need their washes and stuff. In fact, if you buy their washes, you're less likely to be able to make models like theirs, because you won't learn the fundamentals of why they look like that.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing you can do for weathering is go to an artist shop and have a look at the stuff there, and just take some time and buy just a couple of things. They don't cost much, far less than hobby stuff, our hobby stuff, proper military stuff. It's all a scam, basically.
Yeah.
Or even just like those. Just proper, I've used this quite a bit. Just cheap ass. I have got a couple.
They're from what's it called, isn't
Works.
it? The wax, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a set of them.
Mine must
But
be
always,
old. My old must be 40 years old.
yeah. Oh, yeah, the last age. But I mean, there is a few like us, as those two in particular. They'll last me for ages. But there is an odd couple of colours that I'd like burnt and raw umber, because they're good to mix with a lot of stuff. But just a cheap. I mean, I think these were £12, if that, maybe. But yeah, there will be a couple that it'd be worth buying specific colours, but there's not many. I mean, to be fair, raw and burnt umber, I'd suggest, and then just a cheap ass set of oils.
And if you want to expand beyond that, sienna and burnt sienna. And,
that's the other one. I couldn't think of it yet. I think
and Indian yellow as well, which is like a sort of lighter, transparent brown.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with them, really. And like you said, Sully, they're probably, I don't know, it depends on what brand you go. People talk about, don't buy the student stuff because the pigment density is not there. We're not artists, like oil artists, which you really need pigmentation for. The amount of pigment in a student's oil color is absolutely fine, because you're going to dilute it anyway. You're going to mix it.
I was going to say we're going to thin it out so the pigment just gets bleated out of existence anyway.
Exactly. So oils you can buy from Lidl or Aldi or the Works or wherever, absolutely fine.
So that's your weathering palette then, John? Winton's. Are you on mute? He's on mute.
John's on mute, yeah.
John's on mute.
You can tell like who's poking.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So the two I use the most are raw umber and burnt sienna. I mean, you can tell they're the most crinkled. I have lamp black, but I prefer this Abteilung.
Starship filth.
I gotta get that, buddy. I gotta get that, James. This is just their grease.
Next to possible at the moment.
I think it's because it's in such high demand, right? Everybody wants it, but Naples yellow,
but then again,
cobalt blue, and titanium white. But these two right here, burnt sienna and raw umber, those are the ones I use more than anything. So, yeah.
The only thing with oil paints is, like you mentioned, cobalt blue there.
Yeah.
The other ones are like cadmium yellow or cadmium red. Anything with cobalt or cadmium, don't go licking your brushes. I mean, you shouldn't lick oil paints anyway. You shouldn't lick paints. But generally, if you're looking at artist quality pigments, and this can happen for acrylics as well, they will use the actual metals. They're called cadmium whatever or cobalt whatever because they contain those metals and they are super toxic. So, be careful. Don't eat them. Don't eat paint. It's not good.
That's great, Alex. Thank you.
Darren's just said the flory stuff is hard to control, clay-based and tends to stain the paintwork. Do you agree on that?
No.
No?
Clear
Do you
coat.
go first or is it straight on?
I tend to put a matte coat on so it sticks.
Yeah.
Then you've got to make sure the paint is really dry. If it's not dry, it will stick to the paint.
Yeah.
The clay will stick to the paint.
Leave it for 24 hours.
Whatever you put on matte paint, whether it's acrylic, enamel, whatever, it's going to stain it. So you put a clear coat just to stop it soaking in.
Yeah.
It's like a sponge, it'll just absorb it.
But I've noticed doing that, it tends to stain as well. It'll darken your paint job when I've done it anyway.
I've done it with
That's something that you can use to your advantage, right?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
If you've got a matte finish and you want that staining, like oil stain, where the oil paint sometimes spreads out and into, you get that sort of diffuse thing. That's great. You don't want to be putting that on an oil coat because you won't get that effect. But on the flip side, if you want something to go right into your panel lines on an aircraft or like in the seams on a tank, then you do want that. So it really depends what effects you're trying to create each time.
The other thing with flock, I don't know if anybody else, unless it's just me, but after a while, have you noticed it sort of separates and doesn't seem to work properly? Or is that just
if
me?
you haven't got a dedicated brush for the flory wash, any contaminants on the brush will actually separate it.
No, I always use the same one for it. And I've had the one in particular I've had a long time, but it seems to have separated to me.
I've got one here which is 12 years old. And it's I've got one here that's 12 years old and it's still fine, Sully. So
no, perhaps just me then.
apparently, if you put it in the microwave and just let it get warm, apparently that can kick back into life.
Oh, okay.
But I like it, but I'd rather use oils. I find it easier.
Yeah.
It is a good, quick sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it does work. I think it does work because you slap it on. Well, the way I do it, slap it on, and then sort of just before it's dry or when it just seems to be mostly dry, damp cloth or a cotton bud. I've usually used cotton buds and just line of airflow and everything, and it gives you some really good streaking, especially if you've got a chunky bit in the panel line, and it gives you a real nice, nice grimy streak out of it. But again, it's what you want out of it at the end of the day.
Dave Barber, I've just got Flory Thick Wash, and I've used it on satin gloss varnish over the paint. It'd be interesting to see. I've heard about them, and I've not seen anybody demo them yet, apart from Phil. Yeah. If anybody is going to do a video on that, let me know, and I'll pop over and have a watch. I reckon that thick wash is really good. He's got a white for the snow effect. They reckon that's pretty shit hot. So because
you can actually airbrush the thick wash on directly.
Oh wow!
So you airbrush it on, do you?
You can airbrush them on, yeah.
Right. He didn't do that when I watched. What was he doing when I think he's brushed it on, I think. Be interesting. Thick wash. It's clay based, isn't it? It's clay water in his own special Kentucky Fried Chicken secret recipe, isn't it?
Flory special juice.
The special sauce.
UMP,
I'm not sure I want to use it now.
What's that, Nigel?
UMP managed to copy it, didn't they? Phil got upset about that.
MP did.
UMP, yeah.
UMP, yeah.
Did they?
I mean, the thing is, there aren't very many secrets in this. You can make your own washes. It's very simple. Acrylic ones. It's a doddle. If you've got any sort of background in any sort of chemistry or any sort of art stuff, you can make washes, and you can, from oil, from enamel, from acrylic, or whatever. So, if the pigment carrier, the clay or whatever, is kind of just, an addendum. So you can't really get upset that people worked out what it was.
That's right. You don't hear Mr. Hobby getting annoyed because somebody's developed a new thinner.
No.
No,
that's a good shout. It's his business, isn't it? So he will, he will try and keep hold of it as long as possible.
Oh, yeah,
but then, everybody's everyone's brought out sanding sticks now. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a sanding stick.
Yeah.
But I will say my favourite sanding stick for doing it's really old now. I need to get. It was not going to make them. I'm trying to find. It's one of these. It's like the real buff for doing the canopies. I love this one.
Is that a flooring?
Yeah, it's old now. I've got 2 left. He did a pack of 5, really cheap, and I bought them.
I sent you some.
But yeah, he's sadly. I'm still waiting for Premium Models to get back to me so I can get this sanding stick set that they sell just for the crack, with a 3D printed holder. That'll be good. But they've not got back to me yet, so I presume they're still on holiday after Telford.
You have to keep emailing him. I've had lots of people contact me in the past about why can't I get an email, a reply? And I don't know if it goes in his junk mail or what it is. But yeah, I've been asked a lot of times to follow it up for them.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like I've emailed Stu Phone from FX Model World, and he's not got back to me. I've emailed him twice now. He's not got back to me either. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, people are busy. It's like Gary Hilda emailed me about 3 weeks ago about sending, because I sent out some patches to him. They never arrived, and I'm still waiting for the new patches to come back in stock now. So I've used them all. I've got to get some more patches, and I must reply to him and say they're on their way. I'll send, but I haven't got back to doing that email yet.
Our postal service is a joke. Sully sent me stickers, and I haven't got them.
Oh, no. You need to give me your address again. Sorry, I meant to chase you about that.
Yeah, what was it again, Nigel? Want to shout at everyone? That's right. Just So anyway, back to basically the discussion was: have we turned a corner for weathering? I'm getting the impression that when it comes to it, look at that. When it comes to it, weathering, there's so many products there that we've turned a corner and gone U-turned, I think, on how we use them. I think everybody's got some sort of weathering powder, liquid, oils, thinners. We've all got our own techniques that we like. There's some that work, some that don't. But I think all of us here do tend to weather somewhat our models. Really, none of us really do a clean build, even if it means putting on some smoke or something from the exhaust or from the guns, a little bit of chipping around the propeller, always, but I think we got to the point where we're coming backwards, where we're not over weathering like we used to, with the fear of the model,
Speak for yourself.
Hey, yeah, but you're different, great anyway.
Yeah.
Yours was a diorama.
Yeah, you're in your own quantum shell of weather.
Oh no, there's the abortion. That was one on its own. just because you weather it like to shit, that's supportive apparently.
Do you think weathering is overdone though, Sully?
You're asking the wrong person. There is a limit, but it depends. It's going to make once it's done, because like everybody gets that's an aircraft that's sat outside for years, and it's accumulated filth and moss and algae and bird shit, which this Gannet is going to be exactly the same. If you can recognise that straight off. Hey?
I can't see moss on the chipmunk. He's above the chipmunk.
Yeah.
But but as long as it makes sense
to be offended or not at that.
But as long as it makes sense at the end, it doesn't matter. I mean, I have seen people
context,
and it's usually the Iron Maiden one. But then again, that's probably a bit more stylized, but that's got shit running all over it, and it don't look right. Yeah. But then again, the artwork's a bit like that, I think, for it. So like I says, as long as it makes sense, when somebody looks at the finish and go, oh yeah, that's been in the desert for 6 months or 5 minutes or 8 years or whatever. As long as it makes sense at the end of it, I don't think you can. But there are instances where it can go too far and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
So again, the long and short of it, as long as it makes sense at the end of it, I think it's fine. But it is a preference thing, isn't it? Like I said, the bloke that called this an abortion, which is still my favourite, I think it'd be my top comment forever.
Yeah.
He not exact words, but basically was he likes his models to look accurate. The irony of the fact that weathering makes it look accurate.
Yeah.
Again, as long as it's done right.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? I mean, I've never heard of something so contradictory.
No, that's it. But I've never seen a chipmunk in that state before. I think.
No, do you know what? I searched so hard to try and find one to actually base this off, and I couldn't. I had to go off actual real world stuff that I've seen.
But then on the same count of the same sentence, Moss, I've never seen a chipmunk that small either.
No, that's right. Exactly.
I think that Sully just said something there that I think everybody can take a key from, and that is he went and looked at stuff in the real world. And I think that is the ultimate key to it. It doesn't matter what effect you're trying to create. If you want to create something that looks pristine or something that's sat in a field and rusted for 50 years, go and look at how stuff actually looks. Reference photos, go out and look at rust and stuff, because how you think it looks in your mind
is not
might
the way it's going to be.
The same. It's like why kids paint trees as a brown stick. No tree ever looks like that, but that's just the impression that they have.
Yeah.
So if you actually look at real stuff, it'll aid you tremendously. That kind of research, I think, is invaluable. I think that's the first step.
I have spent since this gannet was announced, I've spent all year getting photos of gannets and there's one specific one which there's a guy I appreciate immensely has gave me a shed load of his own photos to use as references for this one, because the one I'm doing is a very specific one. But like it says, I did a video about it. The most important tool effectively is Google. You look at all the real world stuff that people have photographed, and especially if it's somewhat specific, like you says, particularly like like rusting trees and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'll probably spend for entirety of the model probably well over half, if not 3/4 of it, researching it. Trying to find something specific. Sorry?
What seat belts do they have?
Sorry.
What seat belts do they have?
Oh, I don't know.
Spent a year and he don't know.
No, well, it's the one thing I've not been looking at because I need to fog the canopy. So it's not going to make any difference, really.
It's going to be a real wreck. It's going to be a real.
Oh, yeah. It's the one that was at, I think it was Soloway.
Right.
If anybody looks up X-Ray Alpha 459, that's the one I'm basing mine on.
XA459.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it was at Soloway, if I remember rightly.
There are some atrocious hulks of gannets out there. They are.
Yeah.
There's loads,
Yeah.
Nigel, sorry, somebody's asked if you still do your discount on premium hobbies.
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
Honest answer
Yeah.
I've never done a discount at premium hobbies. Ed's done the discount. You put NMB10 and you might get 10% off.
Right.
I saw somebody asked earlier where they could get the holders from. They come from premium hobbies.
Premium hobbies, yeah.
But they don't ship to the States, do they?
They don't.
Thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know that's one thing that eBay's good at, but you pay a premium for is their global shipping program.
Yeah.
If you want to ship abroad, their GSP is fantastic because they protect you.
Yeah.
Somebody bought a teapot off me, a really vintage one, got there in one piece. And somebody bought a brass item off me and it was shattered when it got there. I was like, you can't win, can you? But I got covered by their GSP. So, Yeah.
The canopy on this one I've got here, Solly, is broken.
Really?
You're under pressure now to be on full screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deliver the goods.
Well, it's not a very good picture, but it's.
Look at that.
That's the one. That's the one. I've got to try and do that.
Good luck.
I'm bricking it.
Funny, we got a video about weathering, and he comes up with this. Jesus, that's a mess. Lifted off the Titanic.
That's actually the one. That's the one I'm actually doing.
That's one thing I've always found weird is that I don't see many good rust effects on models. They always, you know.
Have you not watched Night Shift?
Has he done a good one? Has he?
Absolute legend. And he's what I base pretty much all my weathering off. Is what he's done. I've got to where I am by watching his stuff. It is, especially if you're relatively new, it is something you're thinking, I can't do that. But it's like everything, you just got to take time and practice on it. But that's, I've got all my stuff literally from what he does. And it's actually, the way he does it, the way it looks, looks really complicated, but it's so easy. It's really, really easy.
Yeah. I was looking at it the other day, I thought that looks easy, and I made a right mess.
Well, you learn, but you'll learn from that mess. Next time you do it, you go, right, that's what I screwed up last time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead.
Yeah.
You know,
there's some very talented people on YouTube, and I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them.
Pure artists.
I just do YouTube on a wing on a prayer, and I just want to talk about scale modeling. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm, as I said, my zero here is, as I said, it's just, it's average, compared to what some people can do. But also, like I said, I'm just enjoying doing them off camera at the moment, and I'm really reluctant to go back to filming myself doing them again. But I'm going to have to because people want to see builds. But what gets me, when somebody, pardon?
Some people never do builds; they just do review.
Just do review, yeah. So, people
subscribe to them.
I'm gonna have to start doing reviews on other kits. I've got loads of kits. By the way, my stash is not just full of Airfix. All right, my stash is full of Trumpeter, Academy, AIP, Revell. I've got every manufacturer going. I just tend to review the things that I like. And people keep calling me a fanboy, so what? If we want to say that, I like to think myself as an Airfix apologist because when they have a problem with Airfix, they ask me what to do. And I like to feel that, I give you all the information that you need to get it done right, Anyways.
I tell you what, I will say one thing for Airfix. I actually made a video today and I said, I am not an Airfix fanboy. And I was sat there in an Airfix t-shirt, praising up the I emailed Airfix Spares on Saturday night because I want something from them. They got back to me this morning with a price and told me to ring them up. I phoned them up, paid the money. It's been sent to me.
Who's that, sorry?
Airfix Spares.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The last 2 times I've dealt with them, they haven't been brilliant.
The trouble is, with Airfix, I keep, as is my, I don't think of myself as an Airfix apologist, okay?
Yeah.
This is how I see it, right? Airfix is a brand within an umbrella of brands. So Hornby Hobbies. So remember, the team of Airfix is 9 people. Okay, they develop the tool. The designs. The marketing is by them. Most of it is anyway. And the team itself to do the models. Everything else is under that Hornby Hobbies umbrella. So customer service, you go to Hornby Hobbies. You don't go to Airfix's own service team. And some aren't educated in Airfix. Some are educated in Hornby. Some are educated in Airfix. Some are educated in Scale Electrics. But what I found is like eBay. If you ring up eBay and you don't get the answer that you want, just put the phone down and ring them back. And until you get somebody who knows what you're on about, that seems to work as well. But and I have done it when I've had a mistake. Something's come broken, and I've used a different email address and I've gone in. I've had the same service as what I would get if I contacted them as my 651 models. And in fact, I've had dodgy customer service as well, even on the Sea King day when I emailed them about my bomb bug. And I said, look, this bomb bug's got a short shock. He sent me the bit. And the guy said, are you a shop or a business? So it's all right. I'll speak to Dale later. It's on its way to you. It's all right. It's on its way. I think, yeah. And I keep saying, Airfix do not hold the purse strings. Hornby Hobbies holds the purse strings. If they want to continue using India for their products, you're gonna have to accept it because it's a business and they look at the pennies. I had this conversation with Malcolm Childs, and I said last week, or week before, and I said I'd rather pay £2 extra for an Airfix kit that was made in England than it is in India. But that's not the reason why they're in India.
I'd rather just in India.
Mm.
When's the last time you got a dodgy trumpeter kit?
2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
What was wrong with it?
Short shot.
No way.
Yeah. It's on the Sturm Tiger, 1/72 scale, early production. I got a short shot.
Little model, you should have got a proper size one.
I know.
Saying that for years.
You've been saying, yeah. This is 6 inches. All right. No, I do like small. I've got nowhere to put them. That's the problem. You know, I was only saying the other day, this beauty here that I built years ago. Hang on, it's here on my desk because I've got nowhere to put it to. Whoops, hang on. I got this is all brush. This is all hairy stick painted. You know, I don't really know where to put it. Like, you know, Tamiya. I just got it. It's just too big. It's just on my desk here. So this is a build kit that I built years ago using hairy stick. You see that? I'll go bigger if you want.
You know what it needs, Moss? Some weathering.
Yeah. If you look inside, it's still got all the electrics in it as well.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Oh, it's like a proper one of the
Tamiya.
It's one of those radio control buds.
Yeah, Tamiya. I painted it all up with a hairy stick.
Damn.
It's worth a fortune now.
Do you reckon?
I think so.
Yeah.
with the motors and everything.
Got the
yeah,
ambush paint scheme. That looks great, man.
Yeah. All the bits in there and everything. That was many years ago, mind. I reckon this must be 10 year.
Probably.
You know, before we had airbrushes.
Be
honest. If you talk to anyone, how long have we been airbrushing for? I've never heard anyone say more than 10 years, and that might be just me talking to the wrong people.
Oh yeah.
But I reckon airbrushing has gone bang in the last 5 years.
1992.
Oh, you're there, right? You're a 20-year-old then, airbrushing, yeah?
Yeah, I'm about 25 years of airbrushing.
30 years.
Oh, that's the wrong people then.
Yeah.
Well, I just think on that,
For about 15 years.
what about you, Nigel?
2017 here, so I'm right about that 5-year mark for you to make you feel a little better.
Yeah. So I'm the same since 2018.
Nigel?
About 1990.
Yeah.
92, something like that. Same as John.
Yeah.
I started with back on Aztec.
92, 91, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, you know, when I was growing up, it wasn't airbrushing, it was all hairy sticking
When
and
did you
enamel
grow up?
paints.
When did you grow up?
I know. Yeah.
He didn't grow up, he was assembled.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was assembled. When I had that
It's the last
operation,
product from the Kingston Holt factory.
Yeah. I entered this the other day, one of my last hairy stick painted kits I've done. This was from
What's the price?
2007, 2008, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I was still doing, you know, I was still doing hairy stick. Yeah. 10 years, whatever it was. It was a very slow process. And then the you know, we never had this array of airbrushes. I've got an original 1970 airbrush that was used by modelers back in the day, top of the range one apparently. DeVille, is it DeVille?
DeVille
That's
Bliss.
when I first held. DeVille
DeVille
was the
Bliss.
first airbrush I ever held. DeVille Bliss, sorry.
Mine was a
That
Badger.
was the first airbrush I ever
Bill
held.
Bliss, yeah.
I used to use an aerosol can, and then I started using a spare wheel off the car.
Yeah.
I used to use a 5.5 foot compressed nitrogen tank.
Did you?
It's absolutely perfect because it's zero dryness. So sorry,
Yeah.
zero humidity. So it's
You mean
perfectly.
the big lab buggers?
Yeah. I worked in science, right? So absolutely brilliant. Silent. There's no compressor. It's fantastic.
Yeah, forget the cell culture. We just power our airbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't break them though. If you ever broke, somebody actually dropped one at the lab at the university, and the valve at the top broke off. They're 4,000 psi inside these things.
Shit.
It basically
Wow.
became a missile. It went through like the walls. It just like disappeared. Brick walls.
And then we come to all this, and then the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
These handheld ones, and I've sprayed outlaw paint through this on a Bearcat, and the finish was good. That lacquer paint is so forgiving. And on that bombshell of realizing how old I am, and how far behind the times I was, still using a hairy stick, we'll call it a close tonight. Thank you all for joining. Stick around after, lads. We'll have a quick chat, and we'll be back again next week. I'm going to try and get a guest on. What I might do is give Diorama Art an email and try and get him on, because I thought his dioramas are absolutely fabulous. The fact that he molds his own figures, all he uses is a facial on top, and the rest of it is all done by wires and putty, and it's amazing. We'll try and get him on next week. I'll give him an email and see if he's around next Monday. But thanks all for watching, and we will see you all next week. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your week, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.